routinely wake up from 12 or more hours of sleep and feel totally exhausted? Or does it ever take you weeks to recover from light exercise? Our guest, Leah McCullough, spent a decade with all that, plus numbing flu-like pain that eventually left her bedridden for 6 freaking years, y'all. Then she met a practitioner who introduced her to specific forms of popular supplements, which enabled her to make a healing quantum leap so that she could get out of bed and start living her life. Find out the exact steps she took to go from being unable to keep house because of debilitating fatigue to running marathons on the Nutrition Heretic podcast coming up next.
So I'm sure you've heard that as you age, it gets harder to lose weight. Well, that's total bull because my friends Laura and Veronica Chows, they can prove it. They're a mother-daughter duo, and they've lost 125 pounds between the two of them at ages 50 and 20. And they've kept it off for over 2 years without starvation, deprivation, or hunger. So now you can learn their system and a whole lot more with a free 10-day trial to their online membership. They'll give you the diet, the recipes, classes, and more. Sign up today at nutritionheretic.com/utmost-diet.
Fat is bad for you.
I just pop a pill and I'm fine.
Meat is murder.
It's time for bad food punishment. It's time for real nourishment. It's time for the Nutrition Heretic.
The following program is provided as information only and may not be construed as medical or health advice. It is not intended to diagnose, treat, or cure any disease. No action or inaction should be taken solely on the basis of the information provided here. Please consult with a licensed healthcare professional or doctor on any matter relating to your health and well-being.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Nutrition Heretic podcast. This is Adrienne Hugh, the Nutrition Heretic. I wanted to talk to you today about detox. I think you guys pretty much know me well, and that every week I've got a pet peeve, and detox has long been on my list of pet peeves. Now, clearly we have too many toxins in our environment, too much stuff coming at us, way more than our ancestors had to deal with. Not that they definitely had to deal with it. If you remember the episode that we did several months ago now, with Randy Hartnell of Vital Choice, he talked about, the, prehistoric man skulls and I guess the bones and remains. And they found that they had a lot of heavy metal toxicity, and they ate lots of ocean, creatures, but they still seemed to live pretty well. They were sturdy bodies. They, many of them actually lived to be older than we are initially told. And, if they died young, it was usually from some kind of accident. But that aside, detoxing is such a loaded term. I've met so many people go on these detoxes and these cleanses, and they love to just try to shame me because if I'm not on a detox, and but a lot of them come out looking much worse and feeling much worse after their detox. Generally, these people are going on these juice fasts that are prohibitively expensive. And they're just another example to me of how we beat up on food and how the calorie has become our only marker for whether or not something is healthy. So people think that because they're juicing and all they're doing is eating low calorie foods, that somehow that's inherently the detox. But as you know, I like to see people replace those things that they are detoxing with nice whole nutrients that will take the place of those heavy metals and other poisons that are now being dislodged from the body. And the reason why those things get lodged in the body in the first place is because we don't have enough nutrients in our diet. We are consuming way too much of these non-nutritive substances. I'm not even going to call them food. But we eat so much of this non-nutritive stuff. And then what happens is we inhale some bromine or brush our teeth with fluoride, and now we've got that load, and then we get the dental amalgams, and now we've got the heavy metals and the mercury and the vaccines and all of this other stuff. So anyway, today's guest heretic is Leah McCullough. She is also known as the Fibro Lady, and she's the author of Freedom from Fibromyalgia, 7 Steps to Complete Recovery. And she is a proponent of detoxification, but her detoxification makes sense, and you're going to find out why today. Welcome to the show, Leah.
Hi, Adrian. Thank you very much, and aloha.
Oh, aloha.
Yeah. All right.
And what do you say in Ohio? Just hi?
Well, Ohio is also the Japanese word for good morning.
Ohio. Okay.
Yeah.
There we go. So tell us, you had fibromyalgia, and we're going to get to the detox portion of it soon. Can't even say the word portion. But we're going to get to the detox portion soon. I wanted to find out from you, what did it feel like to have fibromyalgia? And yeah, we'll go into but tell us in detail how you felt during that time.
Well, thank you, Adrian. That is a really good question because, most of the people I talk to nowadays are not necessarily people with fibromyalgia. I'm almost like an ambassador. I had it. I don't have it now. People ask me all these questions like that, like, how bad is it? And I tell you, it is so bad that it sounds like I'm exaggerating, and I'm not. But the pain is horrible. I mean, there's burning pain. There's, systemic pain all over your body. If someone had a really bad case of the flu or they had body aches, but they never got better.
Right.
And it's widespread body pain. It goes on the clinical definition is 3 months or longer. And at the time when I was really ill, I took heavy duty narcotic pain medication, and it barely alleviated any of the symptoms, but it just took the edge off, but I was never out of pain. And a lot of people are very dissatisfied with what medical pharmaceuticals use for symptom control for fibromyalgia.
Right.
The patients are dissatisfied. The medical doctors are dissatisfied. It's a bad situation all the way around.
Right. So this isn't like a joint pain necessarily, or does that come into it as well? Like, I guess what I'm trying to figure out is, were you at some point told that you had something like, you say, rheumatoid arthritis?
I was told all kinds of things. Anything from, I was told at one point I had multiple sclerosis.
Yeah, exactly.
And then when they really can't figure out what's wrong with you, then they said, well, it's all in your head.
I had that too. Get it out. I got that all the time. Yeah.
But
so buy yourself a pretty hat is basically what they say.
Manifest it in different ways. And it's also like, nobody just has fibromyalgia. They usually have something else as well. Mm-hmm. So they're going to have joint pain due to arthritis, possibly, or they're going to have neuropathy due to maybe prediabetes or diabetes. So that's the burning nerve pain. Then there's the body ache pain. Then there's the headaches. And then there's just, I feel like crap all over and I don't know why pain.
Right. So the headaches, are these like migraines, or were they coming and going, or were they just constant?
For me, I had migraines and I also had sinus headaches.
Mm-hmm.
And then, just regular headaches, what they call those, the rebounding headaches.
Yeah.
I had those two for a number. At my old job before I had to quit working, I used to keep the giant value-sized bottle of Tylenol on my desk, for all my headaches.
I'm picturing the giant value size.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And so besides being incapacitated, it sounds like this was really, the fact that you had to buy value size is telling me that this was really expensive to manage as well.
What happened was, and this is a pretty common scenario, was I limped along for a good 10, 15 years with the symptoms. I was able to work. And then I got to the point I wasn't able to work anymore. So we went from 2 incomes to 1 income overnight, which was huge burden. We went into tens of thousands of dollars of debt because we didn't know this was going to be a disease that lasted forever. And, we were trying to find answers and get some things done. And about went to the poorhouse doing that on medical bills. Mm-hmm. Then my husband had to work 2 jobs to keep us afloat at one point. because I couldn't work at all. And I actually couldn't even do anything in the house. He was doing like all the laundry, all the grocery shopping.
Oh,
all
man.
And that went on for about 6 years.
Wow.
And then at some point in that 6 years, I finally got Social Security disability. That helped us out pretty well financially. It's not a lot of money, but it was enough to help us get over the hump.
Right.
Then I was able to start trying alternative therapies. So about every month, I was able to try something different. And then I finally found something that works. So I say I spent nearly 20 years and tens of thousands of dollars looking for answers.
Right. Yeah. And this is not uncommon. I mean, I guess I'm kind of known for getting the clients who have these long-standing conditions. They're getting the whole crazy spiel instead of just saying, I don't know. And if you know sort of the basics of how the human body works, you may not have a name for it, but you know what can support the person. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so that's just going to be like, you know, I mean, I went through it as well. I had chronic fatigue syndrome, which is a relative of fibro. You know, exactly. Yeah, to me, fibro is chronic fatigue with the pain. I didn't have the pain. Exactly. I had everything else. Right. And so, you know, but yeah, I was constantly being told that there was something in my head, and, you know, you go and relax, take a vacation and whatever. Yeah, it was pretty unbearable. And then, you know, just finding someone who had a clue, whether it was alternative or conventional, it was frustrating as all get out.
Right.
Just trying to get to the answers. And then when you have the answer, there's a relief. I mean, it's a little daunting because you're like, shit, now I got to do all this stuff. But on the other hand, you're thinking to yourself, wow, you know, like I can call it something. Now I know what to do. Now I know I can do something about it. So there is that sense of relief at the same time, right?
Well, when I was diagnosed, it was one of the happiest days of my life. On the one hand, because I had a name for what was wrong with me. It wasn't just that I was crazy.
Right.
On the other hand, I was really sad because I was kind of hoping I was crazy and there wasn't really anything wrong with me.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
And also, you know, it was a very bleak prognosis. You know, you're only going to get worse. You're probably going to be on, you know, medication for the rest of your life, and your quality of life is going to continue to go downhill. That's a very bleak prognosis for someone. I was diagnosed when I was 30 years old. So that's pretty sad. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I was diagnosed at 25. It's kind of the same thing. It's like, geez, I've got osteoporosis. What the heck is going on with me? But what sets, other than, you know, we talked about the differences between CFS and FM. What are some of the markers that are associated with fibromyalgia? Is it the same kind of Epstein-Barr virus, or is there something else that is considered a reliable marker for people who, you know, might be going through something like what you're saying, but they just don't have a name for it yet? That, you know, they might want to ask their doctor.
Well, the medical doctors, they make a diagnosis of fibromyalgia based on symptoms, and they call it symptoms of exclusion. So,
yes,
you know, they test for this and that, and they don't find that, but you have these symptoms. Then they do what they call a tender point exam, and they press on different points on the body and see if you have a reaction of a certain number of points. Sometimes it's 9 of 18 points to be required. Also, 3 months is the kind of the magic number. If you've had widespread body pain in more than one quadrant of your body for 3 months, fatigue, and sleep disturbances. So those are pretty much the guidelines that physicians use to make a diagnosis of fibromyalgia. But trust me, you don't want the diagnosis officially on your record, because there's a bias that people with fibromyalgia are crazy.
Mm-hmm. Right. And is there, you know, just thinking within the conventional medical system, is there resistance or any kind of official, we don't recognize it as a disease, so we're not going to pay for it on the insurance company's side?
Well, what happened was about 10 years ago, they came out with a drug for fibromyalgia, and then it became an official disease.
Yeah, of course. Everything becomes official when you have a drug.
Yeah.
It was
not very funny in a way, but in another way, it's like so ironic.
Well,
right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, it reminds me of so many things. Stevia wasn't a sweetener until they could patent it. Probiotics did not exist and didn't do what people were saying until Activia came out on the market. And as I said to my friend who asked me, when I lived in New Jersey, why don't we hear more about these kids who are being attacked by wolves? And I said, until they come out with Wolfex, there's no way they're going to tell you about this because they need to sell you something on the back end if they're going to recognize it. So,
right.
I'm just waiting to see what they come up with Zika virus because, that's...
Oh, there's vaccines in the mix.
Exactly.
It's horrible.
Exactly. It's just
It'll
like...
be on the mandates.
Absolutely. So, and it blows my mind that so many people are not even picking this up. It's like every year. I would say every year since Mad Cow was a thing, they have come out with something else that we've got to, be paranoid about and, all these avian bird flus and stuff coming out. Like every bloody year they come out. And when they can't come out with something, get the flu shot.
Right.
We got a new strain of the flu shot. So it's, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out what's going on here. Anywho, let's go from pain to what you call the healing quantum leap and your detox process and explain that to us a little bit.
Okay. Well, the healing quantum leap is what I called, this transition I made from being in bed or practically bedridden. I was in bed 12 to 16 hours a day for over 6 years. And I went from that to actually able to function a bit within a period of about 3 weeks. And I did that by doing basically a cleanse, a detox cleanse called what I call the healing cleanse. And it's a combination of a mineral called zeolite and a therapeutic grade probiotic. And these two together work synergistically. So instead of 1 + 1 = 2, it's 1 + 1 = 5.
Right.
And that's what got me out of bed. Once I got out of bed, I was able to do all the other things I needed to do to recover completely. And now I'm 110% recovered from fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, depression, anxiety, morbid obesity, infertility, migraines, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Wow. That's phenomenal. So how did, when you do this, because the zeolites have been kind of, especially, I guess I really started to hear about zeolites in the autistic community, where some doctors were using it to detox these children of the heavy metals and other poisons in the vaccines. What sets these zeolites apart from other zeolites? Because I see everybody claims theirs is the best, right? Now, what makes the one that you've used different?
Well, there's actually quite a few brands on the market that are fine. And in my book, I give you guidelines on how to find a zeolite for you, because even though I get mine at rippleshealthshop.com, that, people in Australia can't buy there, and, people in Luxembourg can't buy there so easily. So, we have guidelines. Basically, the way the zeolites work, they're a naturally occurring negatively charged mineral, and a lot of the bad things in your body that you want out are positively charged. And now when you're doing a normal detox, what it usually does, it stresses the organs of elimination. So it stresses the colon, stresses the liver, stresses the stomach, the small intestines, what have you. And the zeolites, they have to be micronized, so they absorb out of your digestive system and they go into your circulatory system, and they go all through your body, anywhere where the circulatory system, your blood vessels, blood cells go, anywhere your lymph goes. So it actually goes to where the toxins are. It's kind of like a magnet. It's called cation exchange. It picks up these positively charged molecules, traps them in their little molecular cages, absorbs back into the digestive system, and these zeolites with their with the molecules that they've trapped, they're out of your body and through your urine and feces within 24 hours of ingestion.
Wow.
So it's very, what it turns out, it's very gentle to use these. So someone who's, very toxic and very ill, they can actually use them. It's a passive thing. So it's not like they're having to, what most people with fibromyalgia have a damaged digestive system.
Exactly.
So when you're stressing the organs of elimination, you're basically revving up a broken engine.
Mm-hmm.
And the zeolites don't do that.
Right. Right.
And so they have to be micronized, really. So they ground up very, very small, and they have to be activated. So their little cages are cleaned out ahead of time so that they're hungry for those positively charged molecules. That's basically the guidelines on how to find zeolites.
Right. Right.
And do you want me to tell you about the other half of that with the probiotics?
I'm going to get to that in a second. Okay. What I wanted to find out is, I don't know how much you were, because, back when I first started, I was using more of the cilantro chlorella mix, where the cilantro would dislodge particularly heavy metals. And see, this is where most people screw this up, because they know about cilantro dislodging heavy metals. They don't realize that if they don't rapidly excrete those heavy metals, they just take up residence somewhere else.
Right.
So what, we would do, chlorella on the back end, separate from it, so that, they would be able to, once it's had some time to release, now we bring the chlorella in and eliminate it through the bowel. With zeolites, is there any need to provoke, because as we addressed, people with fibromyalgia, with chronic fatigue, tend to have some kind of digestive disturbances. Is there something that we need to do to pull that out of the bowel now, or the zeolites will do that naturally?
Well, the zeolites will help your body excrete this, and most people who are on zeolites, they find that they have an increase in urination, they have an increase in fecal matter, but it's very comfortable.
Right.
You want to drink plenty of water, and I suggest that you drink water with some Celtic sea salt in it, so that the mineral content in your body remains at a good level. And most people are pretty comfortable with it. When you're dealing with juice fasts and cleanses and herbal concoctions and things, what tends to happen is that sometimes they work too fast and people feel like the detox flu. They feel worse before they get better. And some people with fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue really can't handle that. Sometimes it's very complicated to get the procedure down to take these things. And if you're dealing with massive amounts of brain fog, which a lot of people with fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue are, or you have to go around town and gather up ingredients and things, it's just not going to happen.
Right, exactly. Now, do you find, in your case at least, that taking the zeolites with or without food made any difference?
It makes no difference. It's a mineral like a diamond, so it doesn't really matter. It's very passive, and it works without you having to worry about whether it's on an empty stomach or on a full stomach. You can put it in hot coffee if you wanted to. It's not going to affect it. Okay. The probiotics are different, but not the mineral.
So, it's funny, when I was reading your book, you and I are amongst very limited number of people who actually say that when you drink water, you should have minerals in it. Yes. I think that is such a huge thing. And particularly what I was saying at the beginning about you're taking these toxins out. You got to fill up these little, receptors in the body with minerals, or else you're going to fall right back to where you were before. I love the fact that you really drive that home about, you got to drink water, but make sure you put that pinch of sea salt, or in, the bone broths, the kvass, all those good things, to really protect yourself. To me, I see it as kind of like a lock and key or tongue and groove, where you've got these hungry cells that need the magnesium or calcium, whatever it is that they need. But instead you're throwing something else. You're a biology major. But I guess it would be better if you're a chemistry major, but but you're putting, something else with a similar charge on that outer ring of electrons, right? You're putting something with a similar charge into your body, or, coming in contact, like you talk about in the book, through your water, through your air, and it's going to just take the place.
From a real practical point of view, if you have minerals in everything you drink, you don't have to pee as much.
Yes. Exactly. And that's the other thing I keep trying to tell. I actually wrote a book called Drowning in 8 Glasses. And it's about the fact that we're told to, drink all this water. But then at the end, all you're doing is stressing your kidneys. You're just stressing your kidneys to push out more water all the time. And, the water, in my mind, is a delivery mechanism for more minerals. Again, it's not that concept of that a lot of people use when they think about detox is, oh my God, everything is evil. I got to get it out of my body as soon as possible. And the recommendation for drinking all of this water, it comes from this 0-calorie, food is bad. You have to, take it all out of your system and, strip it down to its bare whatever. But I don't even understand how any good scientist would think that is life sustaining in any way.
Well, I tell you, one of my clients, she was talking about how thrilled she was. She's like, I'm doing a cleanse. I'm getting better, and I am not chained to the bathroom.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So now I would like to go on to the other side of what we were discussing, which is the probiotics. Tell us about how the probiotics will work in conjunction with the zeolites.
Well, I tried all kinds of probiotics from, the health food store, the grocery store, the doctor's office. I got stuff on the internet. So when this probiotic was introduced to me, I was like, been there, done that. I think it's crazy. What I found out was that this probiotic's different in that it's colonizing. Like 98% of the probiotics on the market, they are what they call transient. So they just go through your body. They go out with your food. They come in and go out with your food. They don't hang around. They don't get all happy and reproduce and populate your gut with good microbes. So the one I use does, and there are others on the market besides Firm Plus Pro, but I say that's the one that saved my life.
Right, exactly. You're not exactly going to not recommend it.
Right. And once again, I have guidelines in my book of like what to look for in a therapeutic grade probiotic.
Right.
And one is several strains of colonizing microbial life forms. And I think one of the big differences with Firm Plus Pro that helped me so much is that one of the strains is the antigen to Candida yeast. It's an antigen yeast to Candida yeast. And I think that really, really helped me out a lot. So the two, your digestive system is your main system of detoxification, which, is broken with people with fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue. So as they can never really catch up with the toxins that we're all exposed to all the time. So the zeolites help catch up, get the toxins out, and they're very gentle in the digestive system. And at the same time, you're healing your digestive system with the therapeutic grade probiotic. And that's how we see these healing quantum leaps. It's 1 + 1 = 5. So the food you're currently eating is actually not poison you, and
right.
It's starting to actually help you, and you're getting the toxins out in a big way, but in a comfortable way. And people, start living their lives again. They get their lives back, and they get out of bed, and then they're able to do all the other things with the nutrition and the sleep and the exercise and all that.
Right. Yeah. So when you're introducing those probiotics, though, are you telling people to take it like right up front when they start the zeolites? Are you giving them some time to detoxify and then start to add those in?
It really depends on what that person's particular situation is. The full strength detox is 2 capsules of zeolites 3 times a day if they do the capsules. And if and then 1 teaspoon of the Firm Plus Pro probiotic 3 times a day. And they do that for 30 days. Some people can go straight into that, and some people really have to work up to it. I have clients doing both, and they're equally sick in, different ways. And I started by doing the full detox straight up out the gate, and in 3 weeks my life had changed after 6 years in bed. So and the sicker someone is, like, the bigger the difference it makes. It's amazing.
Right. Oh, for sure. Because then you notice anything. The weird thing, I think, for a lot of people is that so many people in our society don't even know that they're running on empty. You know what I'm saying? They're especially now. I just interviewed Julia Ross, who wrote The Mood Cure and the Diet Cure, and we were talking about the fact that people they're just running on coffee and this whole bulletproof gimmick. And I think that's, I feel great now because I drink, 7 pots of coffee a day or whatever ridiculous thing that they're doing. And they don't realize that they're just putting themselves at a disadvantage every freaking day.
Well, on the way over here, I drove by Starbucks. It's 3:00 in the afternoon, and they had a line, at the window going out the door, going around the parking lot.
Oh my gosh.
I just thought that was pathetic.
It is.
And I tell people, eat liver. You will get so much energy. It's amazing.
I know. It's funny that you say that when I read that in your book too, because, I've had a lot of good liver experience and I like liver. I know that you don't particularly enjoy it, but you eat it. You take it the way, you have guidelines for how to get it in and not even notice. But I love the stuff. And, but I know that when I put I could put 2 pounds of liver on the table for me and my 2 girls. Now my girls are 13 and 6. If I put 2 pounds of liver on the dinner table, we'd be lucky to have half a pound left at the end of the meal. It's one of those foods that seems to never make us full.
Wow.
Yeah. And further enhance, I guess, the effect of liver is that while it doesn't fill us up, I definitely feel lighter. I feel, like you were talking about that energy. There's nothing like your body just craves these foods. And my mom, before she died, she was in a nursing, wasn't really supposed to be a nursing home. It was supposed to be a rehab center. But it was in Florida. So like everything's a nursing home if you're not at home. And so, so anyway, she was not eating and they were, just couldn't get her to eat. So I walk in and I have my, my cooler and I made her all of these like really fatty little quiches without a crust, which in Florida is really hard to find decent cream, let me tell you, let alone eggs. But, so I was making her those things. And then I found a farmer who had pork liver and ground pork. And so I chopped up the liver really fine because of course they didn't, it was just like one huge slab. I chopped it up really fine and I blended it with all these spices and whatever. And my mom in 2 days went from not being able to lift her head to feeding herself with a spoon because her brain, some part of her brain took over once particularly once I started feeding her the liver, and she wanted more.
Yeah.
It's like she went from like, I'm not hungry, I can't eat, and then all of a sudden she's feeding herself.
That's amazing. So,
liver is it's just this miracle food. And I wish more people would understand how good it is. Well, in a way I don't because I like to get it cheap because nobody else is buying it. But I'd like to pride myself on thinking that I can make liver for just about anybody because my husband was he was a staunch liver hater when I met him. And he still has issues with the texture of like a beef or a pork liver, but he'll eat my pâtés when I make them, and that's mine are pretty heavy on the liver versus because it's pretty much, a pâté is basically a meatloaf, right? And so I'll use some ground pork, but I'll do like a lot of liver in there. And then my chicken liver pâté, he'll eat any day of the week. I make this awesome chicken liver pâté that I have so many friends, I'll put it this way. I have so many friends and relatives, whatever, who hate liver. They, I will never touch this stuff. And then they're like, ooh, this stuff is good. What is it? Like, it's liver, guys. So.
Well, I'm actually, at the Weston Price Conference in November. I'm a speaker in Montgomery, Alabama, and I'm actually debuting my new cookbook called Eat to Energize.
Nice.
And it's all liver recipes where the liver's hidden. So maybe your husband will like it.
Well, I just keep a stash of liver in the house. We don't necessarily, recently we haven't been getting it every week, but I do, I'll try to do at least twice a month. I'll do my chicken liver pate. And then in between, I'll try to do I'll do a liver with balsamic vinegar and onions.
Wow.
And that's really lovely.
I was thinking if I put 2 pounds of liver on the table at my house, there would be 2 pounds of liver in the meal. I don't care how good it is for you. That stuff, man.
Yeah, well, I don't know. You put enough sweet onions and balsamic vinegar or what's the other thing? Sometimes I'll do like a little red wine and cream. So good. Try it.
I'm glad you like it.
I'm going to get you down here one of these days and give you some liver, some grass-fed beef liver here.
Yeah. Well, I'm in Ohio. I'm actually I live near Dayton, and getting grass-fed and pasture-raised animal products, dairy, meat, eggs, everything is actually really easy.
Yeah.
And I feel so grateful for that. And it's one of the best parts about living in this area of the country.
Right. Yeah. I used to live in New Jersey, about an hour and a half from Amish country. So getting food that was raised on pasture was good, but they always added like a little grain. And here, because, everything is growing all the time, you can get beef that is 100% on pasture, never seen a grain other than what grows naturally in that area.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. So it's pretty impressive that they can do it. And I even got the hookup on where to get it at a good price. So actually it's not expensive even in the regular stores. It's not crazy expensive. And I mean, when I look at sorry to go off on a tangent, but when I look at what people complain about, I'm like, I can't afford it. I can't afford to eat like you. And then they go to, Costco or whatever, and they're coming home with these big bags of tortilla chips and what have you. And I'm thinking, that's not cheap. I would rather eat, spend, $100 on meat a week and have meat for a week, than to spend 75 on chips and then still have to, round it out with a bunch of other stuff, because those things, they don't satisfy you. And the more you crave that stuff, the more you are not, Julia Ross and I were talking about this as well, the more you're just not eating enough protein. If you're really craving so much of these little chips and snacks and all this other stuff in between, because somebody told us 20 years ago we're supposed to be grazing, not eating meals. So
in my community, the people have a serious fatigue problem, and it's really hard to get them, to prepare. You have to prepare a lot of food sometimes when you're eating naturally. And it's not necessarily way more expensive, but there's more, you have to kind of concentrate more on your food. And so we take people we have strategies for people. So if you're just so sick and exhausted that you have to choose between nuking something in the microwave or taking a bath, which a lot of people are like that, believe it or not.
Oh yeah, I know.
If you're like that, we have strategies for you there. To start out on eating some food that's going to supply your body with some much needed nutrition, all the way to, if you can prepare a gourmet meal and all that. So we have all these strategies in the book about that for people, and where to source. A lot of times, like, all they know is Costco. Yeah. And so, how to start sourcing this really good food and good food for you. And one of our mutual loves is the Weston A. Price Foundation, and I talk about that, and I'm really committed to the Weston A. Price Foundation, and I'm so grateful for them, what they've done for my family and myself.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and But it's interesting to hear about people's excuses. They're, a lot of times it's just a matter of information. It's like if they have different information, then they can be like, okay, now I can see my way out of this. But you got to kind of have an attitude of openness to get the information.
Right. Well, a lot of times I feel like it's dealing with, having an intervention with your drug addict friend who just is like, well, I don't have a problem. Like, yeah, you do. You don't want to give up something. And obviously, I hate to say it, but, if you got like 200 or 300 pounds to lose, it's probably not working. I don't think it's working.
Yeah.
And that's just on the weight side. I'm not even talking about the other health issues, the heart disease and the
I was
whatever.
at a food freedom festival.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually manning the Weston A. Price tent.
Okay.
And this guy and his wife came by, and they were both about 400 pounds each. And he had this big tattoo in his arm that said "Vegan for life." And I was like, that is like an anti-commercial,
Yeah, right? Oh, man.
Okay, so that's it for this week. We're going to continue speaking with Leah McCullough next week about fine-tuning her fibromyalgia protocol, including what body care products may interfere with healing. We're going to also speak about specific supplements that helped her get over the hump and how it feels to live free of the constant numbing pain on the Nutrition Heretic podcast next week. The Nutrition Heretic Podcast is a production of Savor the Journey, LLC. Our audio editor is Nikola Popovich. Our podcast manager is Crystal McLean, and our operations manager is Linda Hansen. I'm your host, Adrian Hugh, the Nutrition Heretic. You can find us at nutritionheretic.com, where you can download the Nutrition Heretic's free shit list of 7 health foods to avoid like the plague. You can also listen to previous episodes at nutritionheretic.com/podcast. Be sure to like us on social media for updates. Our Facebook page is facebook.com/nutritionheretic and on Twitter @NutriHeretic. Contact us with show ideas, questions, or if you just want to be a guest. And don't forget to rate our podcast on iTunes and Stitcher. Thanks.